Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. We discuss 6 questions in 9 minutes because leaders know how to be concise. We'll go ahead and jump right to it. First question. In a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Rob McNealy, and I am co-founder of a cryptocurrency project called TUSC, which stands for the Universal Settlement Coin.
Great. Well, question number 2. What is the best thing about working with a team?
You can get more done with a properly motivated and properly assembled team. I think you can get a lot more done than if you're just an individual. Bottom line, I know lots of great entrepreneurs that if you give them any one task of a business, they generally can accomplish whatever they need to accomplish. The problem is running and building an operation takes more hands than just generally a single entrepreneur can do. So ultimately, good teams extend and increase the value of whatever the project is you're working on.
Fantastic. Question number 3, which kind of goes along with what you were just talking about, but I hear from other leaders of teams that it can be a challenge to get team members engaged. Tell me your thoughts.
I'm probably a heretic when it comes to this. I don't think that you can necessarily engage unmotivated people. I think ultimately the biggest determinant of outcomes when it comes to building a team is going to be how you pick it, how you assemble that team. And so I think that if you pick a really good team and you're really strict and go through a very rigorous methodology when you're attracting, team members, you're going to have not a lot of problem, and you're not going to have to put a lot of energy into quote unquote motivating and engaging with them. And I think a lot of times people, get frustrated when they're trying to motivate people that are just inherently not motivated. I think there is a lot to be said about, that internal work ethic that people have. Now, that doesn't mean that you ignore a good team. You have to keep a team on track. But as far as keeping engagement going and keeping motivation going with teams, I think you need to just focus on hiring and finding the best teams, team people you can get. And I think that a lot of organizations don't spend enough time doing that up front. They don't do that work up front. And I think they end up paying for it, and they try to just, it's a big problem with a lot of corporate type entities where they just are like, how do I motivate these people? I'm like, you picked them wrong. Let's just start there. If you're struggling motivating your team, you probably picked the wrong team to begin with.
Great comments. I could not agree more. That hiring is, you're right, often overlooked, and it's a big hurdle when you get further down the road. So that's a great comment. Question number 4, what other piece of advice do you have for leaders of teams?
Well, even dovetailing back into what I was saying is you need to hire right. But then, that covers a lot of things, right? This is a really quick interview. So it's like, what kind of things do you need to do to figure out, the right types of personalities and skill sets? But you also have to figure out, okay, will this person fit in my organization? Yes or no? What do they bring to the table? Do they fill a gap in skills or technology or what have you? But on top of that, you need to find the right place within an organization for those people. So there's a lot of really, really talented individuals that are not natural leaders. And I think a lot of organizations and companies, they're in this mindset that I need to, bring up to the level of, raise people up in the organization just because they've been there long enough, and this is a really common problem. Unfortunately, a lot of, say subject matter experts, technician types, they may not feel comfortable moving up into more managerial roles. Maybe that's not what they want. Maybe it's not what they're passionate about. And I think what I would recommend to people that are trying to hire and recruit is that don't try shoving, square pegs in round holes. Find out if this is the right thing for that individual person, if they're going to go into a certain part of your organization. I think you need to really match that. So there's a lot of people, for instance, that may not be good subject matter experts or technicians, but they're whizzes at sales, or they're whizzes at management. They're whizzes at project management. And those are the ones that you're going to want to raise up to help, become the backbone of the company and grow the company. But there may not be the technician kind of people that you have in your organization. So I think make sure you get the right people on the bus and put them in the right seats.
Great comments. Great comments. Question number 5, what other successful leaders of teams would you like to recognize that have had a positive influence in your life?
In my life, that's interesting because uh, I would say even the current team I'm on right now, as a co-founder of a cryptocurrency project, we're a decentralized project. So what I've found is I really like working with my team because I've hand reached out and recruited most of them, and they're some amazing individuals. They're very talented, and I'm not only I'm blessed that they want to work on our project, and so I think I'm real appreciative of that. If you look at some of the winning organizations in history, I really like what Elon Musk is doing, to be honest. And I'm not necessarily a Tesla fanboy, but they've put together some amazing teams throughout their different organizations and companies. And I think they're innovative, and it's about results. I also think that Bridgewater Capital, Ray Dalio, I really like his philosophy on things, is that it comes down to, what are you producing, and meritocracy, and letting the best people rise. And I think in this country, we're running away from meritocracy, and I think that's a problem. But I would focus on and recommend and like to highlight, some of the people that focus on that meritocracy and just having excellence as part of the corporate culture. And so any organization that does that should be recognized for that, I think.
Fantastic. 6th and final question. Tell us about your first job.
I was a paper boy in Michigan where I was growing up. And so it was interesting. I'm almost 50. And so when I was growing up, there was very different, I think, expectations about kids working when they're in, high school and junior high. And I see that kids don't work as much anymore. But when I was a kid, the first major job I had was like literally lugging the Detroit News around in a little satchel in the middle of the wintertime in Michigan when it was, 0 degrees out. And I was a paper boy for about 3 years. And it taught me a lot. I had to, have to go prospect for new clients. I had to collect money. I had to pay bills. And I mean, I was doing that when I was like 10 and 11. And so I think that was probably one of the things that I learned a lot about business, but I also remember that was one of the hardest and coldest jobs I've ever had. If I had to think back of what I remember about that, is freezing a lot in the wintertime, walking around with newspapers.
I can relate. I grew up in Oregon and had a paper out as well at the same age. And we don't get quite as cold there in Oregon as you did in Michigan, but nonetheless, winters and even the heat of the summer can be a little
Brutal.
bit more challenging for a young whippersnapper to be out there delivering papers. So,
Was
well,
that your
Rob,
first job or?
yeah, I would call that the first one, and then went into some other things, worked for a dining room in a resort when I was a little bit older, which was a great experience. So yeah, did all sorts of fun little things. So
I remember when I was
what's that?
16, it would be illegal now, I think. I was working in a shop rebuilding alternators and starters.
Oh,
And I remember putting my hands in chemicals and working around equipment. I would, I don't think it'd be illegal for a kid to do that now. But I remember doing those kind of jobs when I was growing up, and I think I learned some valuable things from it. I wish we could get kids to work again. I think, having this society where we don't have children working anymore, I think ultimately we're losing out on kids getting valuable experience and valuable work ethic, principles. And I think I'm shocked at how many kids are coming out of high school and college never having ever worked. And I think everybody should have to do some manual labor and do some manual work and maybe do some crappy fast food job, because it gives people perspective.
yeah.
And I think we're losing that in the United States right now, kind of as a culture. I think we're losing some really valuable educational opportunities for kids.
This has been my favorite question. It's a fun question, obviously, but it's been neat to hear all of these different entrepreneurs and CEOs talk about their first job and the lessons that they learned. And you can see a lot of parallels. And sometimes you see they have an experience that wasn't so positive that steered them to the direction that they're in now. They're like, I know now what I don't want to do. And so it's been a fun question to discuss. So thank you for sharing that. And Rob, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. How can people find you?
Sure, I'm easy to find on Twitter, and on my podcast. You can find that you can find me just at robmcnealy.com, robmcnealy.com. And then for our cryptocurrency project, TUSC, it's just TUSC.network, TUSC.network.
Fantastic. This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, you can find us on LinkedIn by searching Blue Sky Business Consulting. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day.